Hello there. I see that you've found a guide on using the best Pokemon ever created. I must begin this video by applauding you for your phenomenal taste and your overall good style. So congratulations on being a commendable human being for wanting to know more about, objectively, the greatest Pokemon ever created, the greatest thing ever created, if we're going to be totally honest here. But we all know how great Alolan Exeggutor is. It is remarkable in that it's the only Pokemon better than regular Exeggutor. Both phenomenal. Number 1 Pokemon, Alolan Exeggutor. Number 2, regular Exeggutor. But that isn't about this. This is about teaching you guys how to unleash the full competitive potential of a beautiful work of art that hopefully we can set in motion. So, if you're just joining us now, my name is WolfeyVGC. I'm the 2016 Pokemon World Champion. Yeah! Which is pretty cool. This is my competitive guide. Yeah, it's a competitive guide to teach you guys how to use Exeggutor. If you haven't finished that, figure that out. So, first things first, let's take a look at Exeggutor's overall thing here at Cerebi.net. Sponsored by nobody, because I'm not sponsored by anybody. I wonder why. Anyway, here we have Exeggutor. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's going to be hard for me to do this guide because I just want to look at Exeggutor. Anyway, in VGC 2017, you can't use regular Exeggutor. You can only use hidden ability Exeggutor, Alolan Exeggutor. So, what do you need to know? It gets 2 abilities. Number 1, Frisk. Frisk, yeah. Which we're not going to talk about because it's most of the time garbage. Unless you have like some weird set where you don't have a berry, but most of the sets that I think you should be using, I think you're using a berry. But Frisk is actually a really good ability. It's just that Exeggutor is Harvest, which is one of my favorite abilities of all time. Anyway. Oh, it's so nice. It's so beautiful. Anyway, important thing is Exeggutor gets an attack called Dragon Hammer. The user uses its body like a hammer to attack the target and inflict damage. Which is hilarious. Anyway, moving on. It gets a bunch of TMs and HMs. It gets a lot of cool egg moves. So Leaf Storm is important. Skill Swap is cool, not super important. It gets 2 healing moves, and it gets Leech Seed. I don't know where that is. Oh, pre-evolution only moves. Yeah, so it gets Leech Seed here. So lots of good options. Stats wise, higher attack, same special defense, lower speed. So it's actually 10 base points lower in speed than regular Exeggutor, which actually changes things a lot. And in return, it gets 10 higher attack, which isn't phenomenal, but it's definitely a good bonus. So let's get into the sets. First set, yeah. Okay, look at this Exeggutor. It's beautiful. This is kind of your standard set. In my opinion, these moves, everything is up for changes in terms of the moves, except for Protect. I think you want Draco Meteor as well, because for some reason Exeggutor doesn't learn Dragon Pulse. You can use Giga Drain, you can use a different 4th move. This is my first recommendation for a set, though, so these EVs are actually really interesting. Okay, Exeggutor is base 75 special defense, which is really bad, and it's also weak to fairies. So you're probably thinking, wow, Exeggutor is really bad. You're wrong. Okay, let me show you some calcs. First of all, I wanted to see how much freaking Tapu Lele Moonblast did to Exeggutor. It doesn't KO with these EVs. Isn't that incredible? That's incredible, in my opinion. Max Special Attack Modest? Wow! Max Special Attack Modest, Tapu Lele, Moonblast doesn't KO at all. Isn't that nuts? That's nuts. Yep. Second of all, I want to see how much Leaf Storm did to... Okay, I was like, what are the 2... Okay, so there are 2 physical Tapus and 2 special Tapus, in my opinion. And so Tapu Fini and Tapu Lele are the special ones, and the physical ones don't get play rough. So I calced Moonblast here, and as you can see, it doesn't do any damage. Okay, it actually does a lot with Citrus Berry and Harvest. It doesn't do that much. Oh, by the way, Harvest is a 50% chance of recovering the berry. That's why it's so good. So, yeah. So basically, Tapu Fini and Tapu Lele, some of the strongest fairy-type attackers in the format, don't KO with Moonblast. In return, Exeggutor, you can see here with no investment versus max HP, does a minimum of 81%. So that's very convincing in my opinion. Moving on, we have the next set. This is actually really interesting because Alolan Exeggutor gets Swords Dance. So I changed the EVs here to be max HP, more attack, and the rest in special defense. This is the physical variant of Exeggutor. Normally, you probably don't want to be using the physical variant unless you're using Swords Dance because its special moves are just better because it has a higher base special attack stat. But in this situation with Swords Dance, basically the idea here is because of Exeggutor's like enormous staying power, thanks to its ability to continuously heal itself, you can switch it in when it has an opportunity and use Swords Dance to boost its attack 2 stages, and then because of its big attack, because of how big its attack stat is, after a +2, it KOs a lot of stuff. And even it's 167 is nothing to scoff at. even without a boost. So I decided, and I was like, okay, at +2, it's probably going to KO everything, right? So what do we need to watch out for? And I was like, well, what if they intimidate us? Like, what KOs do we need to get at +1? So I started off with Tapu Koko, and I said, okay, we need at least 92 attack and Adamant Nature to always Oko Tapu Koko with Wood Hammer after a Sword Dance, after an Intimidate. So that was kind of where I wanted, because I wanted, like, if you start to Sword Dance or something, your opponent's probably going to bring in an Intimidate user. So I wanted to make sure we could still KO stuff at +1, and I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And then I was like, what's the other Tapu that, like, we probably, like, because we're not going to KO Tapu Bulu ever, and we're always going to KO Tapu Fini because it's weak to a grass. So the other Tapu you want to look at is Tapu, forgot what it was called, Lele, Tapu Lele. And as you can see, you need 212 attack, which is the spread we ended up using here, in order to KO Tapu Lele 100% of the time if they have max HP and fort defense. So obviously, Tapu Lele are going to use different, like they probably will run more defense and less HP, but or maybe more defense and less special attack. But even still, like the fact that Woodhammer does this much damage, and that's at +1 as well. So if they don't intimidate you, you just KO all the time. So that was the purpose of those EVs. I wanted for this set to be more of a sweeper, and it's actually a really cool concept because of the fact that Harvest will heal the damage that we take with Woodhammer. So I think it's very interesting. You could pair this in theory with Tapu Bulu to give yourself a grassy terrain boost and make Woodhammer like even stronger, like just because it'll multiply it by another 1.5 times, which is better than even +2. But you'll stack a lot of weaknesses there. So we'll talk about that later. Next set I came up with is Protect, Draco Meteor, Leaf Storm, and Trick Room. This is the exact same EVs as the first set, so I don't want to go too in depth with it. I just thought that this plays very differently. Exeggutor is one of the Pokemon where. Sorry, one of the VGC17 Pokemon that does learn Trick Room, and so I think that definitely gives them a pretty solid niche to be filled in, because Trick Room is such a powerful thing, and Trick Room users, there are a fair amount this format, but they're like, I don't know, I just feel like they're not all good, you know, like I think a lot of them have niche roles, but a lot of the Trick Room users don't look phenomenal to me, so just having like an overall bulky Pokemon with Trick Room could be very valuable, but we'll have to see as the format goes on. And both of his attacks here, you can also, this might be good, worth switching to Giga Drain here because both his attacks drop the special attack by 2. And then lastly, we have my favorite, Protect, Substitute, Giga Drain, Leech Seed. You can also trade Substitute out for, or Giga Drain out for a Dragon move, but this is the Exeggutor that will not be going anywhere. It's when you come to it and you can't go through it, that's when you know you found the wall. So that's just the general theory there. Very, very bulky. Same calcs as the first one, extremely bulky. Yes, and so guys, I'm really sorry I forgot to make a showdown slide with the partners, but I have them in my head. Number 1, Gyarados, phenomenal Intimidate support, pairs well with so Exeggutor resists Electric by 4 times, which is like really good. Gyarados benefits Exeggutor with Intimidate, and it forms kind of the grass water. It forms the grass water part of the grass water fire core, which I think is pretty good. Other partners, Arcanine, again, it has Will-O-Wisp as well as Intimidate to weaken the opponent's Pokemon. So that's really good. I also recommend, personally, a Tapu on most teams. So for Exeggutor, I personally recommend... Actually, I could see Tapu Fini working, personally. You guys want me to write this down? Here. So we have Arcanine, boop, Gyarados, boop, and then one of the Tapu. So Tapu Koko, Tapu Fini, Tapu... I don't recommend Tapu Bulu here, personally. I think the other 3 are better. And I think they're good. I personally recommend Tapu Lele because they don't stack typings because Exeggutor is no longer Psychic, and also the fact that Tapu Lele allows Exeggutor to not be weak to Ice Shard, although I don't know how common Ice Shard is going to be, but more importantly, Tapu Lele deals very well with Dragon types, which Exeggutor is weak to. So, yes. And also, like, Dark types, and I don't know, they just complement each other well, in my opinion. I think Fairy Dragon is underexplored as a combination. So, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for taking time to educate yourselves about the best Pokemon ever created. Oh, also, if you want to see specifically how to use Tapu Lele, there's a guide I've already made. I'm going to be making more guides as this goes on. So, I hope you found this informative. If you have suggestions for the next Pokemon that you want me to do, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I do read all the comments. So, yes, any feedback in general is always appreciated. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.